Welcome to Speak the Truth on what we call Zoom Sunday. My name is Gary Johnson, and I want to open up with our host, Mr. Harold Bell. He was a 2020 National Association of Black Journalists Award winner, specifically the Pioneer Award winner. And with Chris Johnson, our co-host here, who's our all things youth and progressive views. We have a guest here, Mr. Lawrence Lucas, who will give him some airtime, but we want to start off with Facebook. I'm Gary Johnson, and I'm just going to kind of be the facilitator, and the four of us are going to rock it here. So let's talk about what's going on with Facebook. And let's kick it off here and go for it.
Content, I think, has it's very complicated because user-generated content is something that companies have less control over. They have 100% control over their algorithms. And Facebook should not get a free pass on choices it makes to prioritize growth and virality and reactiveness over public safety. They shouldn't get a free pass on that because they're paying for their profits right now with our safety.
America has faced hard.
Okay, so CJ, talk to us. What's going on with Facebook?
Nothing new, honestly. The hearings are basically about Facebook putting their putting profits over everything else, over, as they said in the clip, public safety and things like that. But that's what they're a corporation. They're a private corporation. That's what private corporations do. That's the whole purpose of them, is to fuel growth and fuel profit. So they're not in the business of public safety. They're in the business of growing their Facebook business. So it's kind of ridiculous unless the government wants to regulate them and make them a public utility, like, water and, electricity and things like that, because the internet and social media has become that essential. So if you want to make it a public utility, that's one thing. But if not, you can't be mad at a private company for acting like every other private company, which is to prioritize growth over people. Like I say, Facebook is a social media company, not a public safety company.
Yeah, I agree there. The funny thing about this, the crooks on Facebook are going on the Hill to testify with the crooks on the Hill. So what do you have here, man? We got these corrupt folks, and I've been saying this for a long time. Facebook is nothing but a plantation, folks. It's been a plantation. It's still a plantation. They're like Robin Hood, but they steal from the poor to give to the powerful rich. That's what they're all about, man. So they blocked me off Facebook for what? I don't cuss. I don't very seldom use the N-word, but they blocked me off Facebook and never gave me a reason why they blocked me off Facebook. But I know why they blocked me off Facebook, because I tell the truth. I get information out that other folks don't give you. So they blocked me off, gave me no. If that's Harold, we don't see you no more. I don't own it. You understand? That's just like I've always said, man. Until the Lions hire their own public relations team, the glory of the hunt is gonna go to the hunter. Facebook is the hunter. We got people telling us about our history that have never walked our history, man. Never walked our history. And we got them telling us about our history. I'm glad to see that we got our brother, who is a regular participant here with us on Speak the Truth. He's been in the struggle, man, for over 4 decades with the Black farm. It's no doubt about it. He's a former teammate of mine at Spingarn High School, and we grew up in much the same neighborhood. And man, I'm very proud of him, man, because he has been in the struggle consistently. He don't go away for a year, 5 years, and then come back. He's been into it for a while. So I'd like to welcome to Speak the Truth, Mr. Lawrence Lucas. How you doing, Luke?
I'm doing fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you well, man. What's up? What's new? What's new?
Well, I didn't know that that you wanted to be on, but I kind of am following your lead, that I can join anytime I want to. So I'm exercising your will. But that being said, what you have here with Facebook and the Congress is the fox watching the hen house. And I think that's pretty clear that the both of them are guilty of, how can the government, this is the hypocrisy, how can the government now tell us that Facebook is doing it all wrong and Facebook is controlling what you see and what you hear, when we have the news media, both national and the politics of Washington, both Democrat and Republican, telling us that who we should vote for. And I think a decision for people to vote is who they vote for is on them. If they so chose not to vote, I don't think should be anybody running around the country telling people who don't want to vote to not vote. What you've got is you've got Buttigieg now saying he's going to get out of the Democratic Party. I think that's the gentleman's name, ran for president. And he's saying, hey, wait a minute. I think we need a third party. And that's where he's going. So what I'm saying to you is there's a lot of hypocrisy. And Hurwitz broke this story. And now you have, I think it was Hurwitz, but anyway, I get the names mixed up. But now you have Facebook being challenged by the same people that control what you do, what you say, and what you get daily on Capitol Hill. Now, the question is, who do we trust? Who do we trust? And Harold, I'm gonna go back to you. I think I put out the questions about where we stand. Black farmers are suffering today because our leaders and the media and the editors for these medias, and remember what I said, the editors for these medias who control, even if an article is written as thorough as some I have seen, and then when I see what they publish and what they say is nothing like what we said and what we thought we knew was going to be said. So I don't know if you necessarily want me on talking about this, because we're right in the middle of a storm in Washington. And the storm is saying that the Democrats that wrote this new bill, the reconciliation, which Congress does and give out money to rich white people and give black folks nothing. This reconciliation bill does not have in it, and it was leaked, and I think I mentioned it maybe a week or so ago, it was leaked by a Republican saying what the House Ag Committee has done is taken black farmers out of the equation when it comes down to debt relief that's being paid by this bill that Biden and the Congress is saying they want us to go along with. Now, that's my take on it, and that is about as close to the truth as I know.
Gary?
Mr. Lucas, I wanted to, I know we got a jammed topic today, but I do want to let people know about, and you can tell me about the importance of it. They can watch a video on YouTube that's titled "The Department of Agriculture Set Black Farmers Up to Fail Again." Can you say a little bit just briefly about that video? Are you familiar with that?
I'm familiar somewhat of the video. I think I may have even sent it to you. I think the video clearly indicates that, are you talking about the one that was done by a young lady in California?
Yeah, I think that's the one.
She was reading a letter that we sent to Vilsap.
Yeah.
Okay. That is about as close to the truth as you can get. And what she said in that video is about as close to the truth as you can get. I just never thought that our letter will end up in somebody's hands that 20, 30, or 40% of it is being talked about in California. And, but that was sent to me by a young lady from the Department of Justice who asked me to participate in a reparations. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because some things are popping on my screen that I don't know where it's coming from. Oh, that, okay, Yvette Cornell. And she is saying in so many words, the truth about what really goes on in Washington. And she read from our letter. And what I'm saying to you is that the letter that she was reading from is a letter that we did write. And it is as factual as you can possibly get as to what's going on in the politics of Washington, both Democrat and Republican, and I'm blaming mostly Democrats for failing to make sure that Black farmers get debt relief in this bill while they're paying billions of dollars out to white farmers.
You know,
Okay.
I want to, chirp in here. There was a piece, Lawrence, I think I might have brought to your attention or not, how they, in the news, this is how hypocritical all this stuff is, of an 11-year-old Black farmer who's been certified to become a farmer. But here, she probably is not aware of the trials and tribulations that the adults Black farmers are going through, She's never going to get any satisfaction, probably. I know she probably wants to feed the hungry and all that other stuff, but she's never really going to be able to have an impact as long as there are people like
Right.
Black. Never go get a chance or get an opportunity to really bloom. Her heart may be in the right place, and even they had some little white female girls who trying to do the same thing, but they all are behind the 8 ball because we let people, well, Barack Obama, the one put him in the position that he is in today. This is his 3rd term, man, doing the same thing over and over again. So you ask, like you always ask, who can you trust? We cannot trust these politicians. That is the bottom line.
Harold, before we go to another subject, I think I sent the 3 of you a clip. I am a layman in pursuit of justice. It was a Black farmer plight, so talking about the plight at USDA, and it's only about 1 minute and 45 seconds long. Mm-hmm. If you want to hear something that in a very short piece, mm-hmm. I think there were 9 or 15 farmers interviewed for this. If Gary has it, at some point in time, if you can't get it in today, if you could play that for to let you know about how painful this situation is for a Black farmer and what they go through. Do you have that, Gary?
I have one clip from you, but I think that's the one with the woman. But I can double check. I've got, the only one I have is one about setting up Black farmers to fail. But I'll look for it during the show and I can pull it up. So we can move on to the next topic, but I'll look for it.
Okay, well, thank you for allowing me to speak as long as I did. I wasn't planning on butting in.
It's good information, man. I want to move on to the next subject, man, that's really blowing my mind, man, here in Washington. And I don't know if this is going on around the country, but they're trying to get juveniles who are committing all these horrendous crimes out here in our streets and in our communities. They don't want to sentence them as adults. Now, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Gary, run that video, man, that I sent you on the changing the laws of juveniles.
Yeah, I think this is the one right here. Tough guys in prison.
Yes, sir. We want to make sure these youngsters know exactly what they're doing and what lies ahead for them. They want to change the law for the juveniles not to be sentenced as adults. Listen to this brother.
Okay, hang on one second. There we go. Let's pull it up.
...1976 is when they started the Scare Straight program. And it was in New Jersey. And in my school, I was one of the people that they took to the Scare Straight program. And they took us to Rahway State Prison. We got off the bus, the students, we all walked in, and I saw some of the toughest guys on the street with scarves on their head, booty shorts. It was the most frightening thing I had ever seen in my life. And when we were able to leave, I was the first one back on that bus. And that fear to this day still exists. And when I see these young kids with the shootings, with the robberies, the domestic violence, the just beating people up, and everybody's tough until they call your number in jail. They take you, they give you your outfit, they give you your thin mattress, they walk you to your cell. You don't know what time it is. You don't know if it's dark or sunny out, and they shut that damn cell on your ass. And you know what you say? Damn, I wish I could have did it differently.
Let me tell you, I interviewed Eddie Mathis. He was a DC drug kingpin.
Yes.
He said that when he went to prison, he was seeing young guys in prison getting gang raped by like 30 older dudes at a time.
Yes.
Was rape a thing during those times?
Oh, man, it was commonplace, man. Honestly, I mean, you could walk out your dormitory and see somebody grabbing somebody, 2 or 3 guys throwing a coat over their head, you know, and taking them into a dorm, and you have 20 or 30 guys lined up to rape them. You know, so it was commonplace, you know.
So what do you think, Mr. Bell?
Yeah, well, I tell you, man, that is exactly what's been happening. I didn't know Eddie Mathis when he was a so-called drug kingpin. I was still here in the area here, but he came along after in 1986. I was out there with some of the drug boys who were really kingpins, and the thugs, and I'm talking about people like Slippery Jackson and Zach and Note and Dog Turner, Philadelphia Jake. These were guys that were really out there in the life. And, you know, it kind of took me under their wing, and they became my mentor, but they wouldn't let me sell any drugs. And I mean, there was a time I wanted to sell drugs because I was homeless, man, but they refused to let me sell drugs. But the thing is, those kind of guys, then they looked out for the young people. You understand? They didn't want them to get into that same life. But here we got young people out here today, hijacking cars, shooting people in drive-bys. And like you said, that's what they're doing in drive-bys. But buddy, when you get into that jail, you're gonna be face to face with real thugs that you can't shoot drive-by. You gotta face them in the jail cells, man. And they're raping these young folks. They don't understand, man, what the real deal is of being sent away for a crime that you committed. Like I said, if you can't do the time, don't commit the crime. And here we got adults fighting to say, hey, don't try these folks as adults after they've murdered 3 or 4 people. You understand? Hijacking cars. They hijacked this guy, man, several months ago. You know, and this guy, they killed him, man. Girls, these were girls. So where do you draw the line? I say draw the line, man. Draw the line. We cannot continue to have young people. People are scared to go out of the houses today, right now, because they don't know what to expect in the street. They got to duck the cops. They got to duck the coronavirus. They got to duck the thugs. It's not a healthy place in America today to be around this country, man, where young people are just off the chain. Anybody pick it up. You can pick it up at MSCJ. You're a young man.
I mean, it goes back to what you just said, though. Like you said, why did you want? You just stated why you wanted to sell back in the day. It's the same. It's the same reason now. Like say, it's economic reasons. It's we need some wages. Like people need, they need opportunity. You know, and like I said, there. Of course, you got to draw the line. It goes without saying. Like, don't murder. Don't break the law if you can. But there's it's rough out here, especially since the pandemic with the job and wage crisis that they're talking about. Opportunity is scarce and people get desperate. They make bad decisions when they get desperate. And it's a system that is funneling mostly people that look like us into that prison system, into those circumstances. So it's a larger issue. But yeah, personal responsibility still, that's still a factor. I mean, you still, like you said, you were able to avoid it. A lot of other people are able to avoid, those type of situations. But at the same time, there still needs to be a larger discussion and a larger way to actually address the root of what is causing most of this crime. You're not going to get rid of all of it. There's going to be an outlier of just some crazy people doing some crazy things, but systematically, if you don't address the poverty and the lack of material resources in certain areas, mostly areas that look like us, then this is going to continue to be a problem perpetually, systematically.
Speaking of bad decisions, what's with the NBA healthcare fraud and some of the other stuff going on with the Kyrie and maybe a couple other athletes putting their teams in a bind? What are you hearing, CJ? What are your sources telling you?
I mean, it's what it says in the stories, but again, it goes back to we're the only developed country without a healthcare system. We have a for-profit system. If you have money, you can get some great healthcare, but if you don't, so even the players, I mean, they've been swindled. But we know, pro athletes have a lot of issues with health issues after they retire and after, some of that money dries up. And we talk about bad decisions. Maybe some bad financial decisions were made with some of their money and not investing and things like that. But that'll lead to, just having a broken healthcare system is going to lead to issues like that, not just the with the player healthcare scam issue that they've got, but also with something like Kyrie. And again, with the vaccine hesitancy, if we had a healthcare system that people trusted, they would probably take the vaccine a little easier than a system that will let you die if you're broke, if or let you die because you can't afford insulin or cancer treatments. That's the system that we have in place, and that's the system people are used to. So of course, there's not going to be a lot of confidence or trust in that system.
Luke, you want to join in on that, Luke?
That's a heavy subject. What you're talking about, and Harold, I was just thinking about some of my best friends. In fact, my best friend growing up on Wallace Street, Northeast, before moving out there on East Capitol Street. Sometimes your parents can make, even in that environment, with all the temptations, parenthood can make a big difference and have made a big difference in those days in a lot of our lives, and I think it still happens today. I think that you have a lot of children raising babies. You also have the absence of Black male leadership. And that contributes to the corrosion of our Black community. I think about Papoose, who I ran around with in junior high school. Papoose lived 2 doors down from me. Papoose didn't get as far as high school, so he turned to drugs. His brothers turned to drugs. They had good parents, but still the environment was such that at home, as well as in Northeast Washington, it made it the temptation of being poor and having money. That's a strong competition there. Harold, you were fortunate that somewhere down the line, family, friends, and people that cared about you that kept that from happening. That's not happening out there. The temptations and the poor leadership, and you can't throw money at this problem. And I am even puzzled to this day what it will take. You know better than I do. But what's happening right across the bridge from me in Philadelphia is what's happening in Washington, D.C. And I don't see no end to it. That's the worst part about it. So what I do is I concentrate on the areas where people are listening, where I have a certain expertise, and that's what the three of you all do. And it's good to know that you have CJ to add another perspective that we may not see or even know of. So I commend you all for spreading your effort to communicate to our young people as well as to the society around this country that has allowed the abuse of Black boys and Black girls. And you have to also remember that the politics that made it possible to start that stream of Black kids was not done by Republicans, it was done by Democrats.
Yeah, it all boils down to who can you trust? And, you know, when we stop and think about the media, man, you know, I had a brother that approached me about a week or two ago, you know, whenever all this hoopla was going on about Muhammad Ali documentary with Ken Burns they were putting out. And he's with the media. And he called me, he said, Harold, you know, people don't know that you got the real deal with your interview with Muhammad Ali, 1974. He said, we need to get that on the air. He said, I'd like to get that on the air, man. And I said, man, I said, good luck. You can do it if you want. But I knew what the deal was and who he was working for. They weren't allowed that to go on the air because they got to hang up with Harold Bell because I tell the truth. You understand? And he never got back to me. But I understood right away, man. They're not gonna allow you to put this great historical piece on Muhammad Ali and my relationship with Muhammad Ali, the greatest really athlete in the world, one of the greatest human beings. They don't want me to be associated with him, even though it's too late. But that's the kind of media that we got going on today. These young people, you've seen a lot of Black faces on the media, on 4, 5, 7, 9, CNN, but they don't make no decisions. They don't make no decisions. The editors make the decisions. The most segregated institution in America, besides a church on Sunday, is a media press room at Deadline.
That's right.
It's hard to find a Black face, and we don't understand that. So the media is one of the big problems that we got going on. And while we can't corral our children because of what they're seeing, you know, that people don't read newspapers no more. They get it all from Google and internet and everything else. And these young folks, man, are not being told the truth. They're not, the leadership is terrible. The leadership is terrible. Well, let's move on, man. There was one other thing while we're talking about sports too. ESPN, which is one of the biggest frauds going, they stole my format, Inside Sports format. They just suspended one of their Black females, Sage Steele, who's been around for about 15 years. And she kind of been playing the game, you understand? And you get caught up in that game, man, when you play it, so you'll never know when it's gonna come back and bite you in the butt. So Sage Steele is on air talking about, you know, about the coronavirus and why it should not be taken, the pros and cons. And ESPN suspended them. You know, ESPN has said sometime early in the year, no more politics. The broadcasters, sports talk show hosts can talk politics no more. Well, they haven't been able to keep that word that way. But now she has been suspended. And like I said, it all comes back to control, man. Until we are able to have our own network, man, our own CNN, our own NBC, ABC, CBS, man, it's the same thing. It's going to go round and around and around. So we're in bad shape. I see we got Michael Jackson has joined us, our regular. Michael, we're talking about, of course, this law, and you being a district attorney in Selma, Alabama, and the first Black to be president of the District Attorneys Association. We were talking about them changing the law and not charging juveniles as adults. What do you think of that, Michael?
Well, in Alabama, you can be charged as an adult at age 14 if going through a what's called a transfer hearing or certification hearing. What happens is the DA will file a petition where they first talk to the juvenile probation officers and then file a petition with the courts. And then the juvenile probation officer would do a report on that juvenile, you know, like going to the school, find out what kind of student they are, going to their home and that type of thing. And then we'd have a transfer hearing, which is basically a probable cause hearing, kind of like a preliminary hearing. And then the judge would decide whether to transfer that juvenile to adult court. And if they get it transferred to adult court, they would end up getting a bond because they'd be dealing with the county jail right then, as opposed to the juvenile detention center. But oftentimes, like around here, the juvenile would, you know, it might be a case where the juvenile probation officer and the prosecutor maybe would recommend a serious juvenile offender designation, which means they'll be locked up for a year or two in a juvenile facility versus dealing with the adult court. But now if you 16 on up and you do like a class A, a murder or something, then you automatically are an adult without a hearing. You just automatically in Alabama, 16 on up, murder, rape, first, things like that, you're gonna automatically be an adult. So that's the process here. Rarely does somebody get the judge we've had for the last 17 years, he's about to retire. He has rarely certified juveniles as adults. It has happened, but it's been rare. Now the judge before him, before I was a district attorney, the judge before him, let's say 18 years on down, he certified several juveniles as adults, you know. So there were 14 or 15. So it just depends on the judge, basically the probation officers, and what the crimes are.
Okay, all right. CJ, I know you were talking about Cam Newton, why he hasn't been picked up. It's about the same as Kyrie Irving and Bradley Beal. Cam Newton seems to be, you know, it doesn't make any difference to him. He needs to be happy in his skin. Tell us about that situation.
Like I said, yeah, I think it's just partly that, and then just so late in the game that he got cut that he's not able to, you know, a lot of teams, you have to kind of rework your offense for a quarterback like Cam Newton who runs and a lot of different run packages. So it's that. And, you know, I always feel like the black quarterbacks never get those second and third and fourth chances that a lot of other quarterbacks seem to get, where they just seem to bounce around forever. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback for the Washington football team now, feel like he's been on half the teams in the league and been mediocre his entire career. But, you know, a black quarterback has one bad year, then all of a sudden they're just never to be seen again. It happens all the time. But I think Cam, you know, he might have an opportunity to get picked up next year, but I think the vaccine thing didn't help him. Certainly didn't help, you know, his situation with teams, you know, that's going to make things a lot more difficult. And it seems like all the teams basically, you know, for all the leagues now, their stance is just get vaccinated because it's not going to be a pain in our ass, basically. And we see what Kyrie is dragging the Nets through. It looks like today, even though Steve Nash said that they're pretty much accepted that he's not playing home games this season. Like, he's just going to miss half the games because he won't be vaccinated. He'll miss the money. They'll have to figure it out. He won't be traded because he said he'll retire if he's traded. So that's basically going to kill all his trade value. So he's put them in an incredibly tough spot of just one player is basically bullying the team and saying, I know everyone else is vaccinated and took one for the team, but I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to sit out half the year. And if they say I can't play home games, you guys are going to have to deal with that without me. And it's really hasn't seen anything like that so far, which, a star player just holding out to that extent.
Gary, let's run that piece on Cam Newton. I want you guys to hear what Cam Newton has to say about the social justice system today and how he sees it.
Thoughts on this police brutality and the knee that Cap took in 17 and what that meant to you as a Black man, as a Black quarterback, as a Black father, as a Black business owner in America?
Man, it's tough because, when you have these conversations with your kids, they're oblivious to the talks. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, it's crazy to think that, man, my kids, it's like, if I pull up to a light and a police pulls up to the light, nobody says nothing in the car, because they're afraid. They hear about it. They hear about the George Floyd, and I know the impact that you had, Stack, and my hat goes off to you, but in all cases, this is not nothing new. Right. We just got the technology to expose what's happening now. Right. What I'm saying? To hold people accountable for, the situations that take place. And, it's very disgusting to even think about or even talk about, but it needs to happen, because I don't think racism is the key to the hatred. I really think that it's the not being familiar with cultures is the reason.
Because the lack of understanding.
The lack of understanding.
You fear what you don't know.
Man, it's almost like we just talked about it in coaching. If you don't know how to coach this kid that's from Compton, this kid that's from, Bowen Homes, this kid that's from Atlanta, Georgia, Louisiana, Miami, Houston, Texas, 4th Ward, 5th Ward, you know what I mean? It's really rough. And it's not going to ever get through to them of how to communicate with that person. You know what I'm saying? So, that's really what the issue is understanding what or how to go about it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you say, shut up, fool, to some people, it's not going to hit the same. Right. But, you say shut up, fool, to certain people, like, man, and shit, that's fighting words. Bitch. I don't give a fuck if you the damn mayor. I don't care if you was a police officer. I don't care if you my teacher. You know what I'm saying? You don't talk to me like that. And it's...
Woo! Cam's pretty enlightened.
That's hey man, he's a guy that shows you that he grew up in that type of environment, and he's a better man because of it, because he understands how to deal with his children on it. His father had to deal with him. He had a father there, but also he knew what the deal was when he went from Auburn. I think that Cam went to about 2 or 3 places before he got to Auburn, but he's been around, and he can express himself, man, and tell it exactly like it is. And he doesn't need football. Cam is well set, man. He don't never step on a football field again. That's why he's comfortable in where he is now. Chris said, well, maybe someone will pick him up next year. I doubt it. I really think that as talented as he is, he's too much his own man, and they don't want men who can speak the truth and be real men in those type of environments. So he's a threat to them.
You think he's done in football?
I think he's done.
Wow.
I think he's done. Too much his own man. Too much his own man. What do you think about that, Michael?
Yeah, he was at the football game in Auburn yesterday, and man, those fans went crazy. He jumped in, shaking everybody's hand, high-fiving everybody, and everybody was all happy. He seems very happy. I think you're right. I think he knows he's not coming back, and he's pretty much moved on, I believe. And he's very happy. He's not depressed.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you, I think, because the way he carries himself, and the virus situation and that type of thing. I just don't think they're gonna bring him back.
No, I don't either. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. Like you said, anytime the more opinionated you are, especially as a black quarterback, that's working against you in the NFL, where they want yes men, and they don't want any type of I mean, we saw what happened to Colin Kaepernick. They don't want any talk. They don't want anybody raising any social justice issues. They want you to shut up and throw that football. So yeah, that's definitely going to work against him. And yeah, if he doesn't want to come back in that environment, I think he'll be fine. He'll find a great career in media or something. He's an entertaining guy, like a charismatic guy. He'll be fine if he doesn't want to go back to football, if he doesn't want to be subjective, because I think trying to make him a backup is patronizing, like he kind of talked about before, because he's better than a bunch of starting quarterbacks that are out there right now. So for him to come back as a backup just because he's too outspoken, or because he was going to threaten the newly anointed white quarterback in New England, was pretty dumb reason. I mean, I would take a seat too and be like, I don't. He said he was willing to be the backup, and they cut him anyway. So if they're going to do that, then yeah, I'll take a seat and maybe explore some other options too.
I mean, he's well spoken. It's almost like he's got a little bit of Harold Bell and Jim Brown in him. I just walk away. He doesn't need the money. He's very articulate, so he can do it.
Yeah.
Look at Randy Moss. People thought Randy Moss was such a misfit. They used to call him, and now, man, Randy's a moderate guy on Fox. I mean, on the Sunday shows, in the morning. So I'm like, okay, so you can turn yourself around.
One of the things that's happening in sports too, that happened this weekend that I know some of us might have missed it, but some of us are aware of. Bubba Wallace won his first NASCAR race out of Talladega. And even though, let's show that clip of Bubba Wallace as he got the word that he was the winner.
Under caution.
We got raindrops on the windshield of the booth.
Hey, folks, think about what could happen here. Bubba Wallace in front of this field. We're at a very large racetrack. We know from yesterday it takes about 2 hours to dry the track if it's completely lost, and sunset is at 6:30. If all of these things happen, Bubba Wallace could get his first ever Cup Series win at Talladega. Again, the rain coming down a little bit harder now, and once again, it takes quite a while to dry this racetrack. So patiently waiting if you can. Bubba Wallace, when the caution came out, was in front of the field. The rain started then right away.
You think they're happy?
Wow. That's fantastic, man.
A win is a win, right?
Yeah, a win is a win, man.
He was ahead.
I saw him on an interview with a young lady. I don't know who she was, but he said, man, despite the success, that they're still hating on him. The racism never goes away, man. It's gonna always be there. No matter how big you get or how big you think you are, if you're black, man, you got to get back. So I wish him all the luck, because he's in a dangerous sport, man. It's a dangerous sport, man. This bro got a lot of courage out there. And because almost everybody out there is white. It's white, man. So he's running against the wind, against the odds. And he came out on top, man. So more power to him. What do you think, CJ?
Basically what you said, more power to him. I love to see him, come on top in a sport like that. I mean, more power to him. Yeah, you gotta recognize greatness, even if you're racist.
That's right. Michael, what'd you say, Michael?
Well, y'all know Michael Jordan is the owner of the team. He took recently, which is a good thing. Now Bubba has won, but he came in second place in Daytona years ago and almost won. But he won in Alabama. He's from Mobile, Alabama, Bubba Wallace, and so he was happy he won in Alabama. But he just barely missed the playoffs, but just barely. And so he's been doing fairly well, but after this win, he's gonna probably do a lot better.
Right, right. CJ, you had a topic that you wanted to deal with about this senator who's a constructionist and that she was followed into the bathroom. Tell us about that. Gary, you got that? Yeah. Maybe we run the video first and CJ come back.
Okay, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, let's run this. All right, here we go.
Kirsten Sinema confronted in a way that she probably never expected on her way to the ladies' room.
Sit down, we want to talk to you real quick.
Actually, I am heading out.
As she heads into the bathroom on the campus of Arizona State University, she's followed right in.
We knocked on doors for you to get you elected.
There, they wait and wait. Yep, they're still there when she comes out of the stall. Senator Sinema is calling the incident unacceptable. And so is President Biden.
Senator Sinema last night was chased into a restroom. Do you think that those tactics are crossing a line?
I don't think they're appropriate tactics, but it happens to everybody. From the only people it doesn't happen to are people who have Secret Service standing around them.
The moderate Democrat has come under fire by left-wing Democrats for not supporting the president's Build Back Better plan, which she says is too expensive. And it's safe to say the U.S. Senate has never seen anyone like her before. She's made quite the presence with her colorful wigs and bright outfits. Over the weekend, she got the full Saturday Night Live treatment.
Look, as a wine-drinking bisexual triathlete, I know what the average American wants. They want to be put on hold when they call 911. They want bridges that just stop and car falls down. They want water so thick you can eat it with a fork. And I will fight for that no matter what. Unless my foot hurts, then I'll go back to Arizona.
All right.
CJ?
So, yeah, this goes back to what Mr. Lucas was talking about earlier with the bipartisan infrastructure deal. So basically there are two bills. One is for regular infrastructure. It's kind of a corporate giveaway. It's normal, terrible DC politics. And the other is the one that the black farmers got left out of, and a lot of other people got left out of too. But there are still some good stuff in that bill, like universal pre-K, a child tax credit. There's free community college, free kindergarten, and things like that. So all of that is in the bill, and she is one of the two senators blocking it. But the issue is, and why I wanted to bring it up, is it brought up the question is, how far is too far, like they brought up, in terms of holding your public officials accountable? Because the background to that video is, those are her constituents, like you heard in the video, said, we knocked on doors for you, we got you elected. Apparently, Kristen Sinema hasn't held a town hall in 3 years. Her constituents can't call or get in touch with her. They can't they can't reach her in any way. And they're begging her to stop blocking this bill because Arizona needs those popular provisions. And those provisions in the bill that she's blocking are like 70% popular in her state. So those are why her constituents are like, hey, we need, like, what are you doing? And she is completely unavailable to the people that elected her. So how far is too far if you have an elected representative literally ignoring you, who you put into office, who is voting against your interests? One of the things she's voting against is lower prescription drug prices, which is like 90% popular in America. I don't think many people are going to argue against lower prescription drug prices. She just got $750,000 from Big Pharma last week, and they ran ads for her. And then she's blocking lower prescription drug prices. What a coincidence. She nearly gets $1 million from pharmaceutical companies. And then she wants to block this bill and won't talk to the people who put her in office about it. And it's the same for Joe Manchin. This is like a dystopian movie at this point. Joe Manchin's constituents had to paddle out to his yacht on kayaks, to his big luxury yacht, to beg him to not vote against an agenda in West Virginia, one of the most impoverished states in the United States, who badly needs a lot of the things in that bill. They literally had to paddle and beg him from kayaks, looking up from his luxury yacht, while he tells them that the bill is too expensive and we can't afford things for basic things for people, when the bill is paid for already with tax hikes for the rich. So that's all this is about. It's not that they can be against these things. They can't be against, are you against universal pre-K? That's why these two senators can't articulate what they want to take out of the bill, because everything they would want to take out of the bill is extremely popular and they would sound like assholes or Bond villains, which is basically what they are right now, because they're just So this is the question. This is why I wanted to bring up. How far is too far? If I can't reach my senator and they're going to screw over my entire state, I might follow them into the bathroom too and be like, hey, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you? Because what she's doing and what Manchin is doing is literally going to kill people. Someone's grandma's not going to get their insulin because they can't afford it. Some people are going to literally die because Kristen Sinema wants to get paid, because Joe Manchin wants to get rich, because he's a coal baron and he makes private money from coal companies. So of course he's going to kill every green initiative in the bill to keep our planet from burning. He's like, nah, but I make coal money. So that's not acceptable, I feel like, to be able to completely ignore your constituents. And again, you talk about why young people have lost faith in the system. It's stuff like this, where we have elected representatives completely unaccountable to the people that elected them. They'll make promises, we'll elect them, and then after that, they'll literally just ignore you. They'll walk away while you ask them questions when you knocked on doors for them. So this is where we are, and just what Kyle wanted to highlight why the issues with this reconciliation bill are going to get the Democrats killed in the midterms. Because if they can't deliver on these basic things, really popular things that people want, and they're being obstructed by people in their own party, they can't point and say this is Donald Trump's fault. They can't point and say this is Mitch McConnell's fault. This is Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin are Democrats. These are Democrats. So this is the issue. And then they're going to cry in two to 4 years about, oh, how are the Republicans winning all these midterm elections? Why don't you elect us again? Because you already got elected and didn't do anything. So this is the strategy that they're going for. I literally saw a story today on CNN where Democratic strategists have a brilliant new strategy of maybe we should do some of the popular things that people want. Like, this is breaking news to them. Like, this was a real story. It wasn't satire. They're like, this is, you know what we should do? Maybe we should come through on some of this popular stuff. Like, how are you? These people are getting 6-figure salaries to come up with this stuff. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
All right, Michael, come on in here. How you feel about all this stuff? Who can you trust, Michael? Democrats or Republicans?
Well, I have a long thing to say about all this. I don't agree with following somebody in the bathroom with camera. Now, I don't, because what you're doing is you're getting sympathy for this lady. Having said, they should have just stopped at the bathroom door, waited for her to come back out, and then get back on. But this lady won't tell anybody what she will accept. You know, they keep asking her, well, what will you accept? She won't tell them. So how can you even negotiate with somebody that won't tell you what they want, which makes it difficult? But the Democrats are just the weirdest folks on how they govern. They always take, they'll take a pen to a knife fight or take a knife to a gun fight. They just don't know how to, they don't know how to maneuver with the tools they have. This is ridiculous that they can't pass this stuff when they don't understand. If you're gonna be a Republican, you need to just don't join the Republican Party, because people are not gonna vote for a fake Republican. They're gonna be out of office one day, these folks, because a Republican is gonna run against them and beat them. People ain't gonna, they're not gonna, for the most part, vote for a counterfeit Republican. And that's what this lady and the West Virginia guy that understand. They're gonna get bit at some point trying to be a counterfeit Republican. But at least the West Virginia guy tell these folk what he want, how much they gotta cut it down. And this lady won't even tell folk that. And then she wears all these outfits and fake wigs and all, and this and that. You just wonder about what's going on with this lady.
You know, I think before you come back in, CJ, you want to jump in here. Looks like they're setting things up, man, for Donald Trump to come back in here. Because I'm telling you, if Republicans win Virginia, man, Donald Trump is back. Because Terry McAuliffe, who I think really should be the governor, this guy has a hell of a record, and when it comes to equal opportunity and the reentry program for prisoners and everything. And this guy Young can say the reason that he's running because of Donald Trump. He made it clear, and they are running neck and neck, which does not sound good for Terry McAuliffe. And that's what I see happening, man. That if they take the state of Virginia, it's going to roll. It will be like a roller coaster, man. The Democrats, man, we're in trouble. Those of us who call ourselves Democrats, we are in real trouble. Okay, CJ.
Oh no, I was just gonna jump into certain things. Like I'm glad that Mr. Jackson brought up the point that it would garner sympathy for her. It actually didn't. It started to, and then it actually did the opposite, which I was actually thankful that the media did their jobs for once, because like you said, it highlighted that she's not even giving demands of what she wants. So it's just like, okay, she's unreachable. Her constituents can't reach her. And then it's like, okay, what do you want in the bill? Okay, what do you object to? She doesn't object to anything. She's just bought and paid for. You know who can reach her? She left DC to go do a $5,000 a plate fundraiser for her donors. Those people can reach her. If you got $5,000, $8,000, you could talk to Kristen Sinema and get her ear. But if you're just a regular voter, a peasant, then she has no time for you. So I think it really highlighted exactly actually how corrupt she is, that her constituents have to chase her into a bathroom stall and still get no answers. And that's how our democracy is functioning right now. So that's the kind of silver lining, that they're actually absolutely so corrupt and inept. It's actually forcing the media to do their job and be like, well, wait a minute, what does she want in the bill, or what do they object to in the bill, when they're just bought and paid for? Like it's super clear. Like Joe Manchin's a coal baron, so he doesn't want any environmental stuff. Kristen Sinema's swimming in big pharma money, and she wants higher prescription drug prices and things like that. So these are obvious correlations that is forcing people to ask the obvious question of like, why doesn't our government function? Why isn't our democracy going to be a functioning one? And like you said, Mr. Bell, this is just leaving the door wide open for even if it's not Trump himself, whoever the next Trump is, or the next crazy psycho Republican racist is going to walk right into the door easily, because Joe Biden is going to have wasted 4 years not helping people when he had tons of power to do so. And that's all that the Republicans are going to run on those hit ads for 2 years, 4 years, of how Joe Biden didn't raise the minimum wage, how Joe Biden didn't do a lot of the forgive student loan debt, how Joe Biden, depending on how this bill goes and how many people get left out of it, like the black farmers are seeming to get left out of it. There's going to be more people. So whoever else gets left out of reconciliation bill, those are going to be hitting points that are just going to be slam dunks for the Republicans, who could just sit back and watch the Democrats implode because they don't know how to govern.
Mm-hmm. Gary?
I just shake my head at, I can't disagree with what it said, how she just ducks constituents, doesn't articulate what she wants. She's bought and paid for. Yeah, but the thought of another radical or Trump himself trying to come back, he should be in an orange jumpsuit, but that's not going to happen anytime soon, if at all. But I just can't figure it out. I just can't figure it out.
Yeah, I'm going to go into something, man, that I want to get you guys' opinion on. I read early in the week, maybe a week or so ago, how people were jumping up and down that Jay-Z had control of the entertainment for the Super Bowl. They jump, oh man, he got this person coming, he got that person coming. I said, are these fools crazy? Jay-Z was the one that went into the meeting with several of the owners and the guy who was the commissioner. And they had all these blacks there. And I said, well, I know Jay-Z gonna come out of this meeting owning a team. He gonna come out of this meeting owning a team, because that's what we need. We need more black ownership. Jay-Z comes out, they make him the head of entertainment. That's what we always been the head of, entertaining people. And they jumping up and down. Here we got an Asian woman, the owner of the NFL team. How many Asians do we have playing in the NFL? Can you name one? But she's the owner of an NFL team, and these brothers and sisters are jumping up and down, talking about Jay-Z, man, got control of the entertainment. Will somebody please explain that to me, because I don't understand. Somebody.
I mean, it's what you just pretty much said.
Yeah,
like,
no words. I mean, we've always fell for the shiny object,
Yeah.
But no, it's where is the power and where is the authority?
Mm-hmm. Michael.
That's what Michael Jordan understands. He owns the NBA team now. He owns Bubba Wallace's team. That's where the real power is ownership. Not all of this side stuff. And Michael Jordan is one of the few African Americans that understand that. That's why he's a billionaire, and that's why some folk used to criticize Jordan for not being more outspoken. But when you own, and you can hire blacks, you can influence things, and that's where the real power is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's called having a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Bell, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I know we're running out of time, but you've had quite a year because I mentioned in our intro, the National Association of Black Journalists Pioneer Award. I see you've got a lot of memorabilia behind you. Where's that trophy? You got a trophy showcase. You got a list of accomplishments back there. You got the University of Maryland, the Legends of Inside Sports video. You were asked to be a voiceover in the Showtime documentary, The Four Kings. Let's see here. I know you were a panelist on the MPD or public television with on the Ali special. Of course, everybody knows that you're the guy with the footage, the exclusive footage when the champ came back from the Rumble in the Jungle. You've been married for 53 years. Not only 53 years, but you've been married 53 years to the same woman. See, a lot of people can go 53 years, but to the same woman. You got the toy parties for Kids in Trouble. The anniversary Inside Sports. Where's that memorabilia from the NABJ? What you got?
Never received anything. I'm still waiting for it. I got
in the mail.
Video. That's the only thing I got to prove that I was a National Association of Black Journalists 2020 pioneer. But I've been truly blessed, man. Like 53 years married to my wife, Hattie. We celebrate 53 years of Christmas toy parties for needy children that I started back in 1968. Now everybody's doing Christmas toy parties. 2022 will mark the 50th anniversary of Inside Sports. And that's a hell of a milestone, man. But the things that I'm most proud of is my 53 years married to my wife and my Christmas toy party for needy children. I did 45 straight years, man, of toy parties without grants and loans, man. You understand? I had to hustle. I had my boys, like my hustler boys on the street, leaving envelopes of cash for me at different restaurants to buy toys for the kids. So it's that kind of thing, man, that's really that I feel that I've been blessed, man. Yeah, I've been at this stage of the game, I'm still having an impact. That's the key, to have guys like Michael come on Sundays whenever he has time, and CJ and Lucas, still having a voice, man, because that's what we need. We need to have more voices, but folks have got to understand, man, the politics are killing us, man. Our own people are killing us. Did you any of you guys see on television? I know Michael probably didn't see it, but Miriam Bowser, our mayor, to remove the homeless from down in the Northeast, where I usually go by and see them under that tunnel all the time, had a bulldozer go down there and take up a tent with somebody inside. The mayor. You understand? This is a black mayor. How can it get any worse? We got Lightfoot out of Chicago selling out black people. And so a lot of folks thinking that we're being sold out right here in PG County by our county executive. A lot of folks won't say it, but that's the real deal, man. That's the problem. We're being sold out by our own people, man. So yeah, I still got a voice, man, and I'm still having an impact because, man, I didn't get here by myself. I had a lot of help, man. Those guys, those hustlers on the street, my high school coach, my grandmother, my mother, just name it all. I've been truly blessed, Gary. So no, I haven't received an award from National Association of Black Journalists yet. I guess they'll get it to me at my grave site.
Well, COVID has slowed up the mail, so
yeah, that's right. COVID. But speaking of COVID, man, we got 700,000 people dead in the United States. And it just blows my mind that Bradley Bill, Kyrie Irving, all these folks want to take the vaccine. You know, yeah, I remember Tuskegee. I remember that. But man, this is 2021 heading into 2022, and we still having people not wanting to take the vaccine. They are firing first responders, man, because they're not taking the vaccine. I saw games yesterday. I know all of y'all saw 80,000, 90,000, and you can hardly find a mask. Yeah. I hope that doesn't come back and bite us in the butt. What y'all think? I know it, man.
Well, I can't have conversations with people who won't take the vaccines. I've tried, because it lowers my intellectual IQ, because they're telling me things that, like I talked to someone yesterday, and this person said, it's people like you who have the vaccine who are infecting us.
Wow.
See, I can't have a conversation with you. Game over.
Michael?
No, I was gonna tell you, I've taken the booster shot and I'm still alive.
Yeah. Chris?
Hey,
Yeah.
Third day after the shot, now I was in rough shape, but I survived that day.
Yeah.
I'm still around with a big smile on my face.
Amen.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I would get it. I mean, like, I still understand the vaccine hesitancy, because, like, even as, like, that's not the greatest arguments to make, that's not totally untrue, because, like, people can pass, you know, who are vaccinated can pass the virus on to people who are unvaccinated. That's not completely untrue, but again, like, you have to look at, you know, weigh all your options on both sides. Like, I mean, if you don't want to get it, that's fine, but there's going to be repercussions for that in a society that requires vaccination. So, I mean, again, there's not a lot of trust in our healthcare system and big pharma in general. I mean, we just talked about big pharma buying a senator and obstructing, you know, a huge legislative agenda. So, like, they're not the most trustworthy people. So I understand the skepticism, like you said, Tuskegee experiments. There's a long list of reasons to not trust it, but at the same time, billions of people have gotten it at this point and are still walking around and they're fine, like what was said. So you got to do your research on both ways. I just hate the weak arguments of, like, oh, I'll do your own research. Like, I like a good line. Someone said, like, what does that even look like for some people? What does Kyrie Irving doing his own research look like? Does he have beakers? Does he have like a telescope? Like, what is he doing other than surfing the internet and watching YouTube videos? So I hate that do your research line, because everyone's doing research. Like, how about you leave the research to the scientists and the doctors instead of talking about do your research when all you're doing is looking up YouTube videos of conspiracy theorists?
Michael, I want to ask you, I know we're running out of time, but I got to ask you this. The FBI raided the NYPD headquarters in New York, went to his home and took computers and everything. This is unheard of, Michael, to have the FBI raid one of these police department union areas. This is unheard of. And I've been saying for years, and everybody knows that the FPD or fraternity order or FOP is the Ku Klux Klan. I've been saying that for forever. They are paid assassins. How can you say they're paid assassins? Well, a story just came out that half of the murders in America by policemen are unaccounted for. Half of the murders in America murdered by policemen are unaccounted for. And that a black man is 3 times as likely to be murdered by a cop than a white man. So is this progress for the FBI to be raiding the headquarters of the order of police and the union?
Yeah, I think the law enforcement and the prosecutors' culture is starting to slightly change, where more and more prosecutors and the FBI and others are trying to hold these police officers accountable for their actions. Because if you remember, just until recently, it was almost impossible to get a conviction of an officer who did something they shouldn't have done with a gun, killing somebody with no reason. It was just almost impossible to get a conviction on that. But if you notice, over the last couple of years or so, more and more officers are getting prosecuted. More and more officers are going to jail. And even some of the prosecutors that did some weird things, they starting to be held accountable. Because I think some lady got charged, some ex-district attorney got charged on this weird thing she did to protect the police. So the culture here is slightly starting to change. It's a whole lot better the last 2 years than it was before on holding officers accountable.
Mm-hmm. You know, one of the things too that I found out that corporate America has been funding police departments. That the NYPD got a room full of money, $10 billion, man, from corporate America. Coca-Cola just pulled out of being on the board of the police department in Atlanta, Georgia. You know, so they're being funded by corporate America. That tells us why they're able to get away with as much as they get away with. CJ, we get ready to get out of here. You got the last word.
I mean, you pretty much said it. Like I said, of course, corporate America, this is the system we are in. Like I said, this is kind of circles back to everything we talk about is corporations being able to buy politicians and do whatever they want with no repercussions. Like we talked about people selling drugs, you know, earlier in the show. Like I said, the Sackler company that basically funded the opioid epidemic, that they got an unprecedented hearing where they're not going to be liable for any of the deaths that they've caused ever, even going forward for the opioid crisis through a settlement. Like what? That's insane. So like they are the biggest drug dealers out right now. They're pumping fentanyl. The people that make that stuff and have killed countless people and got them addicted to it will face no consequences, while the neighborhood drug dealer, like you said, is going to be sitting in jail and face those rapes and all types of horrors and things like that. But the drug dealers in suits on Wall Street, zero consequences. Matter of fact, they'll probably get big bonuses for it.
Yeah, big bonuses.
That's right. Yeah.
Michael, Lawrence, Lucas, thank you guys. And Gary, you got the last word as we head out of here. Gary.
The last word is keep on keeping on. Hold people accountable. Wear your mask. Get the shot if you can. And Mr. Bell, we'll keep waiting for that hardware. You can show it to us.
Okay. And just remember, you cannot soar with eagles if you're hanging out with chickens. I'm Harold Bell, and you can color both me and CJ. You can color us gone.
Be safe, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Harold Bell. My wife Hattie and I founded a nonprofit organization in 1968, shortly after the riots that almost destroyed my hometown, Washington, D.C. The program caters to the needs of at-risk children as it relates to social services such as education, law enforcement, drug abuse, gang-related violence, and other antisocial behavior.